Hello, welcome to Exclamation. My name is Arthur Kendall. I'll explain a little bit about myself in a moment, but I just wanted to explain a little bit about this channel and the reason for the name. Among my many interests, languages has always been one of them, and the origin of words. And from this word exclamation, the origin clamare in Latin means to cry, so we get the word clamour, and so the word exclamation literally means to cry out. And it kind of represents my own journey of finding my voice, finding myself. And I hope it'll inspire others to do the same, to be themselves, to be yourself, and declare it boldly to the world, especially as a sensitive person, empathetic, and with perhaps a blurred sense of identity, or in my case, an uncertainty about my own identity and my opinion. I went from a very, very shy kid, feeling invisible, partly due to my diminutive stature. I was quite a short kid until I was about 14. I started growing quite quickly. I was very sensitive and empathetic, and so I found myself absorbing other people's energy, other people's opinions, and not really knowing. I could see the reasons and the good side of everything, which was both a blessing and in some cases it was quite difficult. And of course it led to me, as I say, not really knowing what I thought or who I was. Moving from there to much more self-aware, more confident, moving from this being shy and feeling visible to speaking in front of 1,000 people in another language, to from a lack of identity and self-esteem to confidence and teaching, communicating, from my ruthless inner critic to my inner coach, and from inner turmoil to inner peace. So what can you expect from this channel? Well, obviously the lessons I've learned along the way. I'll give you some practical tips, tools and techniques that I've learned, and practices that you can embed in your own life that have made a huge difference to mine. Stories to inspire mine, and I also want to talk to other people who also have experiences and inspiring stories to tell of similar kind of journeys. I also I will talk about my Masterhearting approach. Those of you that know me set up this thing called the Masterhearting Club, which is set off initially to be a kind of mastermind, if you know what that is. People gathering together to talk about the challenges and successes that they're having. But in this case, we are guided not just by our mind but by our hearts, and reconnecting to our hearts. So it includes things like emotional intelligence and things like that, mastering our connection to our heart, basically. So it'll be the heart is the gateway to our inner being, our true essence. So I will get quite spiritual, not always, because I like to mix things up. My own journey is a mix of quite down-to-earth topics, in fact, psychology, neuroscience, linguistics, as you've already discovered, to profound spiritual experience, including my own near-death experiences. And I think one of my superpowers, or my superpower, is being a bridge between worlds. And so one of the things I will do is bridge the mundane, the material, with the spiritual. I call myself a soul guide these days for that reason, because we're all having this human experience, but if we can tap into our divinity that we have, our higher selves, our inner being, sometimes I feel like our souls have a hard time being human. It's not actually that. I don't believe our soul never looks at it as hard or difficult or good or bad. We judge it as such, but the challenges that we have are our adaptation to this human existence. So as I say, it'll be a mix of down-to-earth topics and quite profound sometimes spiritual experiences. And sometimes, as I say, that there'll be a middle ground. For example, the Enneagram I've recently discovered more about and been reading avidly and watching videos and so on about it. So I will put my own take on that because I think it's been very helpful as a guide. I don't like labels at all because these techniques should always be taken as information that we can interpret, never as part of who we are. Simply some observations to help us identify certain patterns of behavior so we can do something about it. So there'll also be a few surprises, my own quirky, slightly eccentric personality and sense of humour. Music will play a part, although I have my original channel, which has the actual music that I occasionally create. So this is my invitation to you to come along for the ride, come along for the journey. My Masterhearting Club is a community that I'm creating, and I also have, as part of this soul guide identity, what I call spiritual adventures, where I started writing actually on Substack, Diaries of a Spiritual Adventurer, and I've created this kind of little ecosystem of different paths that I guide people down to help with certain aspects of their life, rather than the formal coaching program as I have had. I've always been more comfortable in a more improvised environment, so this will take elements of those spiritual adventures, spiritual paths, and I'm also organising in-person events because I love connecting online with people from all over the world, but I also am dying to get back to doing in-person events, so I'll talk about that a little bit as well. So as I say, my invitation to you is to come along for the journey, share yours, and find, or rather remember, who you really are, and exclaim it to the world. I'll see you next time.